Today our learning target is I can turn my story into a comic strip by using my characters and my setting to fill up 5 panels. Well, I'm really excited about what we're going to do today because it's the culmination of all of your hard work on your story and then your character and your setting. We're going to put that all together to tell your story visually today. In order to do that, we're going to use the format of a comic strip. A comic strip is a sequence of drawings that are in boxes that tell a story. And you'll often see them in like a magazine or a newspaper and sometimes maybe on the internet, but not as much. Our stories, we're going to use 5 boxes or panels. The reason we're using 5 is because that follows the basic plot diagram of any story really, really well. So the first box would be the beginning of the story, right? The exposition. So it introduces us to what's going on and our characters. The second one is the rising action, where the main character faces a series of conflicts or we see what the story is going to be about. Next one is the climax, so the big thing that happens in our story, the main point of the story. The fourth one is the falling action, the events leading to the end of the story. And then the last box is the end of the story. How do we resolve all the stuff that happened in the previous boxes? Before we get started on drawing our cartoon panels, we need a piece of paper, colors, a ruler if you want your boxes to be perfect, and something to draw with.
Alright my friends, so the first thing that we're going to do is we want to divide this paper into 5 boxes. So I'm going to mark with a pencil and a ruler, if you have one, where halfway is on my paper. So this is about halfway. I'm going to very lightly mark that. Then I want my climax one, so the middle, the big idea, to be one of the biggest ones, and I want my my end to be one of my biggest ones as well. So I'm gonna have either 2 on top and 3 on the bottom, or 3 on top and 2 on the bottom. So I'm gonna make my introduction one maybe this big. You do not have to measure precisely, this is just totally up to you. Okay, so then I want my climax to be bigger than my rising action. So I'm gonna leave a bigger space for that. And then I'm gonna have my falling action and my conclusion, or my end of my story. So I'm gonna divide those maybe like that, maybe in half. It doesn't matter how you divide your boxes up. If you want them to be perfect boxes, then just use a ruler. I'm not super worried about that. You always want to leave a little bit of room because comic artists always sign their names. And notice that I'm leaving a little bit of room between my boxes as well. Alright, so we have our introduction, our rising action, climax, falling action, and end of the story. So the next thing I'm going to start doing is drawing what's going on. So the first thing that happened in my story is we got the t-shirts. So I might draw my 2 people with big smiles. And remember, I'm just roughly sketching this out so that you guys can get an idea of how to draw this. And then I'm gonna make them holding their t-shirts. And they're just plain white at this point. Then in the next box is my rising action, so what's happening? So in this one, we are going to be filling up the bottles. So I got the sink maybe. And I'm gonna have all these little bottles full of dye. And maybe me standing there filling them up. Then the climax of the story. We are tie-dyeing. We're in the bathtub. Remember, my setting is in the bathroom. I drew that earlier. And in the background of each one, you can have your setting. And I'm just drawing it really simply. So we are at the bathtub. We are tie-dyeing. We're getting water everywhere. And I would have all of the different things that we're dyeing. And I'm going to make a lot of splash marks in this one because this is the rising action. So this is the climax of the story. So I want to make it really big. And I want us to both have like, oh my gosh, faces, like what's happening? We got so messy. Then in the next panel, this is my falling action. So this is us cleaning up. We're putting everything in bags. So remember, draw my setting. And then I would have us still sitting probably, maybe from the side, with all of our stuff in bags. Let me draw this nice and... So see how it was super messy? Now it's starting to be less messy, but I still have all of the nasty stuff on the walls and the puddles on the floor. But I'm bagging it up. And if you guys ever want to add word bubbles to this, you can. And usually they wrote in capital letters. They kind of look like bunnies. So I would draw my people sitting, looking at all the stuff they made. And then in the last one, I think since it's resolved, I would have us with a squeaky clean bathroom, and I would keep that setting like that. And how I'm going to show that the bathroom is squeaky clean is I'm going to use like an old trick. I'm going to draw some stars like this. My people are very proud that we got the bathroom clean, or maybe we're holding up our shirts. And I might write the end at the bottom. And then the last thing you need to do is you always need to sign it at the top, just like the comic artists do. So, review. First, beginning, it's a snapshot of what's going on. So I have t-shirts and we're smiling, we're excited. Second one, we're making the tie-dye to make the shirts to dye them. Then the third one, we're dyeing the shirts and we make a huge mess. And I really need to emphasize what a huge mess it is, just like I did in my setting drawing. And then in the falling action, I have that we're starting to get things cleaned up. We're starting to. So maybe I'll add like a towel to help show that we're cleaning. Maybe one of my people's holding like a spray bottle or something. And then in the last one, it's the conclusion, it's the wrap up. So all of my people are happy, the bathroom is sparkling clean, and we got our shirts. So just think through, how can I show what's happening in my story the clearest? All right, good luck, my friends. The next thing you'll need to do is color this all in, and if you want to, you can go over the lines that you really like with a Sharpie.
I am so beyond excited to see the final outcome of all of your hard work. I've been so impressed with what you've made so far, and I can't wait to see your story come to life visually. If you have any questions for me, feel free to either set up a time to Google Meet, email me, or leave a comment under the assignment. Happy art making!